Even as international negotiators try to push forward a potential peace deal for Ukraine, NATO is simultaneously preparing to intensify its posture against Russia, signaling a complex and rapidly shifting strategic environment. Reports indicate that NATO is now considering the possibility of launching preemptive strikes as a direct response to what it describes as Russia's increasingly aggressive and provocative activities across Europe. This major revelation came directly from the head of NATO's military committee, who openly discussed the alliance's strategic deliberations in an interview with the Financial Times, drawing significant global attention. Admiral Dragone added that despite the discussions, various legal restrictions and procedural constraints are currently preventing NATO from immediately conducting any form of preemptive strike. According to Dragone, NATO is evaluating whether it should adopt a more proactive and assertive strategy to counter Russia's hybrid warfare tactics, which often operate below the threshold of open conflict. These hybrid incidents include severe disruptions across Europe, such as mysterious undersea cable cuts and sophisticated cyber attacks, all of which have been linked to Russian involvement by Western officials. The general acknowledged that any such action would likely be formally framed as a defensive measure, designed to protect allies and deter further escalation, rather than initiate open warfare. Dragone conceded that adopting this type of strike-first posture would be highly unconventional for NATO, marking a departure from its traditional defensive doctrines and long-standing operational norms. A further complication, according to the Financial Times, is determining which member state within the alliance would actually execute such strikes, given differing national laws and political constraints. Dragone ultimately admitted that NATO operates under far stricter legal and ethical limits compared to Russia, which profoundly restricts how far the alliance can go in mirroring Moscow's tactics. Dragone explained that NATO is reviewing every possible option, admitting that the alliance has often been reactive in the cyber domain and is now exploring whether a more aggressive, proactive strategy might be necessary. He noted that a preemptive strike might legally be defined as a defensive act, though he emphasized that such thinking remains far outside NATO's usual approach and historical behavior. Dragone highlighted that matching Russia's level of aggression is theoretically an option, but warned that major legal and jurisdictional questions, along with choosing who would carry out the strikes, remain unresolved. He stressed that NATO faces significant ethical and legal constraints in contrast to Russia, making strategic decisions far more complex for the alliance. Dragone concluded by acknowledging that while NATO's position is not a losing one, it is undeniably more difficult due to the alliance's commitment to legal norms and democratic oversight. The head of NATO's military panel insisted that preemptive or retaliatory strikes may be essential to deterring further Russian aggression, underscoring the seriousness with which the alliance views the situation. Dragone clarified that NATO will need to carefully analyze whether retaliation or preemptive action is the appropriate response, calling for deep, methodical evaluation before any decision is taken. These statements follow repeated accusations from Russia, which has alleged that European nations are inventing or exaggerating claims of hybrid attacks in order to justify increased military readiness. Moscow has long maintained that NATO is preparing for an outright war against Russia, using the alliance's growing activity as evidence to support its narrative. Russian President Vladimir Putin has repeatedly denied that Moscow intends to provoke or escalate conflict with NATO countries, insisting that Russia is not seeking confrontation despite rising tensions.